Have you ever stopped and wondered why you'll happily pay more for one brand over another, even when, let's be honest, they seem almost identical? Well, today we're diving deep into the psychology of branding, and I'm telling you, it's about so much more than just a flashy logo. So let me ask you this straight up. Just think about the last thing you bought. Maybe it was your phone, a new pair of shoes, or even the coffee you had this morning. Why did you really choose that specific brand? Was it just about the product itself, or was there something else going on, just beneath the surface? Okay, let's get right down to it. At its very core, a brand is basically a mental shortcut. I mean, think about it. Our brains are busy. We just don't have the time or the energy to do a full-on, deep dive analysis of every single thing we buy. So instead, we rely on the feelings, the trust we have for our brand to help us make a quick, confident choice. And that leads us perfectly into our first big topic, the power of feelings. Because, as you're about to see, when it comes to branding, what you feel is often way more important than what you think. A perfect example, Nike. They're not really just selling you sneakers, are they? No, they're selling the feeling of determination. That "Just Do It" slogan is pure genius. It taps right into our own personal struggles and our goals, connecting their shoes to our own story of resilience. That right there is an incredibly powerful emotional hook. And this quote from the Harvard Business Review just hits the nail on the head. We view brands as part of who we are. It means we don't just use these products, we wear them like a badge of identity. They signal to the world, and yeah, even to ourselves, who we are, or maybe who we want to be. And you can see this idea in action perfectly with a behemoth like Apple. Come on, their legendary customer loyalty isn't just because they make a solid phone. It's about being part of the Apple Club, right? That whole seamless ecosystem, that shared sense of identity. It's a powerful feeling of belonging. And would you look at these numbers? They really tell the story. An incredible 89% of Apple users stick with Apple. For Samsung, it's 76%. Now that 13-point difference, that's not just about camera specs or screen size. That is the power of community, of identity that we were just talking about. So here's the real kicker. For a loyal Apple user, switching to an Android isn't just about learning a new system. It can actually feel like you're leaving your tribe. The source material puts it perfectly. It's like shedding a piece of their identity. That psychological cost is huge. Okay, let's switch gears a little. We've talked about the heart, now let's talk about the brain. Specifically, the incredibly fast mental shortcuts that brands help us build. Get this, 3 seconds. That's it. Research shows that's all the time it takes for us to form a first impression of a brand, and almost all of that is based on visual design. There's no time to make a pros and cons list, it's just an instant gut reaction. So our brain is constantly at this crossroads. Do I do the hard work, the slow, difficult analysis, or do I take the easy path and just go with the brand I already trust? You can probably guess which one we choose most of the time. We let the brand's reputation, that halo effect, do all the heavy lifting for us. Coca-Cola are absolute masters of this game. That iconic red color, totally intentional. Color psychology tells us that red can trigger feelings of excitement, energy, even urgency. And by being so incredibly consistent for decades, they've built such a strong mental shortcut that they're often the top choice even when blind taste tests might favor a competitor. But, the rules of branding are changing. So for our next section, let's dig into what's happening now, where things like trust, ethics, and authenticity are becoming absolutely essential. For younger generations, and especially Gen Z, a brand's values can be just as critical as its products. They really do see their wallets as a way to cast a vote, to support companies that align with their own social and political beliefs. Every single purchase becomes a statement. And this data is pretty wild. A huge 73% of Gen Z consumers say they are willing to pay more for brands that are sustainable. This isn't just some small niche preference anymore. This is a massive mainstream demand. And honestly, brands just can't afford to ignore it. So now that we've looked at the heart, the mind, and this new trust factor, let's pull it all together and really decode what's driving our choices. So if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. The most powerful branding completely bypasses our rational analytical brain. It connects with us on a much, much deeper level, through our feelings, our sense of who we are, and our core values. Which really leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're out shopping and you reach for something on the shelf, just take a second and ask yourself, are you just buying a product?
Or are you buying into a story that you want to tell about yourself?